Hello and welcome. My name is Dmitry Markolov, aka at Dmitry Make Love, and you're listening to an episode of Faucets of Reality. Let's begin.
Hi, Dana. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so honored. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. This is very fun. You're the first person from my high school that I'm doing a podcast with, so I'm excited. How are you?
Yep. I'm good. I'm doing great. I've been kind of looking forward to this because, yeah, it's interesting. We did go to high school together. We've kind of known each other for a while. We weren't exactly like, we didn't hang out that much, but we had a lot of friends in common and stuff. And I always noticed you stood out for some reason.
Mhm.
But I feel like all this stuff is coming out now that I had no idea about. I feel like you're kind of starting to shine brighter. And I love that. It feels very resonant with me as well.
Mhm.
So you just came out with a movie, didn't you?
Yes, and I was going to say we're peaking now versus everyone else in high school who were assholes who peaked back then. We're having our moment now, which is great.
Yep. I hope they don't hear this.
I don't care if they
even if they
deserve it.
do, yeah, whoever is welcome to come have a talk, come have a chat with us,
Yeah.
But
No, my movie, yes.
yes, your
Yes,
movie
my first film.
reflects. Hmm.
Yeah, Reflect came out January 9th, so it's been out for like a month and a half. It's doing pretty well. It's on Apple TV and Amazon, and it's a metaphysical movie.
I am so just so I don't know, taken aback. I don't even have the words to say what a momentous achievement this is for anyone really. So you basically you wrote this thing, you wrote the screenplay, right? For all the actors, the whole how it goes and everything. You
Yeah.
directed it, you starred in it, so you're like the main role in it. You also produced it,
Yeah.
and did you edit it also?
No, that's the one thing I was gonna try
Okay.
to do, and I was like, okay, this is too much. 'Cause I do
So
also edit. Yeah.
at a point it becomes too much, right? I feel like that's a lot. It's a lot of hats you're wearing, and you got it funded too, right?
Yeah.
That is insane. Wow.
I don't know
Lots
why I
of.
did this.
Well, you did an amazing job. I saw it and I was just like, wow, this is so cool. My grandfather was a director, and as the
Oh,
story goes, my parents met working at a movie studio, so movies have always been so big for me, and they've kind of helped me to understand what life is and reality and everything. And it's like you took that medium and you really ran with it, and I think
yeah.
that's amazing. How did you what was this your first movie you've ever done?
Yeah, this was so I think I tried like one short film that I co-directed. But like this was like my first anything really, like that was mine. And I just wanted to really go straight into a feature because I was like, I'm going to spend a year on it or 2 years either way. If it's a shorter feature, maybe a little less time for a short, but they still take so much time. So I was like, I may as well make something that can like make some money and also like get out there to a bigger audience, not just like the festival crowd, like that no one
Mhm.
will ever see it.
Hmm. Well, I think a lot of people have seen it. It seems like you're kind of blowing up a little bit, feel like you're getting a lot of attention for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, of course, I would love like way more people to see it because I'm never satisfied. But for my
Mm,
first film, I'm very proud of it, and I really hope in the future to have a way bigger platform and reach people with even bigger concepts in film. So that's kind of my next step. 'Cause I'm
mm.
not satisfied.
Cool. Well, so what was your motivation for making this one?
My motivation, to be completely honest, was I had written this film that I'm working on now called Anana. And it's a $2-3 million film, and I couldn't get it made because I had never made a movie. So I was like, I got the advice to make a smaller movie first. So I was like, okay, I'll just make this cheaper movie and then I'll be able to make my next film because people will see I can make films. And so it was kind of like this was kind of just to show people what I can do for not a big budget And I wrote this film out of, and then I got the idea to write Reflect, obviously, after I'd written the other script, in like August 2021, I think. And it was based on me just feeling very depressed and not connected to myself and not connected to my friends, or the outside world. Just like, yeah, I was trying to understand myself and why I wasn't connecting with anyone. That kind of was how it started, to be completely honest. Yeah.
So as a lot of great works, it starts in a dark place.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that?
Yeah, and I'm excited too in the future to like make more work from like a lighter place, right? But I think all artists kind of do start in that dark place, and I think it's completely fine, and that's how we learn about ourselves. So, yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, not to get, like too dark or something, but like, the dark and the light, we kind of need both, and they're kind of like the contrast makes life interesting, right? Like you go from
Yeah.
like the lows to the highs, right? Kind of thing.
Yes, I think it's what meaning we assign to it. And I think the dark and light are two expressions of the same thing, whatever that may be. I don't
Mm.
think we even know. I think the dark is associated with fear and the unknown, which a lot of us are terrified of. And I think the more comfortable we can get with the dark, and dancing between the light and the dark, the more we'll realize like how to live life in a more magical way.
Amazing. I like that you said that it's like they're kind of the same thing. Um, I just saw a meme the other day, and I don't know, it stuck with me. It was like, God isn't a man or a woman, but a secret third thing. I think it's
No,
funny, right?
so let me speak on that. So, because
Okay.
I couldn't believe the same thing with like the metaphor of neutrality. So when you really think about like, because everything's multidimensional, and I don't think we can really even conceive what God or whatever this thing is. But so
Mhm.
there's like light and dark. Light, so darkness I see as like these little circular molecules, and it's just not filled with the light photons, but it's still these circular things. And then when there's light, they just like are full of that light, but it's the same background. And that's what I'm saying, why they're the same thing. They're reflecting off the same thing. And what is that thing? I call it plasma. Someone could call
Mm.
it like a feminine god or something, or a sentience. But I see that neutral thing that we assign meaning to as what people might call a god of some sort or an intelligence, if that makes any sense.
Like the prima materia, right? Like the
Yes.
alchemists were
Mhm.
looking for that like first substance that kind of you can make anything out. Like everything is made out of
But
this one primordial like substance, right?
yeah, which
Kind
I
of
believe
thing.
is plasma. So I think there's
Mhm.
consciousness, which people could call a god, more like a father god type. And then I think like the mother god type is plasma that everyone's forgotten about and it's been cast away for thousands of years. But I think,
Well, no, I mean you need both. You need both for existence to happen, and they have to be in balance. That's how I feel it, right?
yes.
Okay. So moving on, that was some we got a little deep there. I like it. I like it. Just a
Mhm.
little taste of what's to come, hopefully.
Yes.
So what would you say like ultimately the message of your movie Reflect was? Because just the name Reflect, I think maybe speaks for what you were trying to portray in it. Um,
Yeah, I think it has so many meanings. I think the core meaning was almost like it was like a love letter from my inner self to myself, like to connect with myself and love myself. And then I think, yeah, on a deeper level, it's kind of like whoever watches it, like whatever you're meant to learn kind of will reflect back at you. So like everyone has different truths and different experiences. And
yeah.
some people might hate it because they don't like what they see. Some people might think it's so profound. Some people might think it's super dumb. Like it is what it is. It's just art. It's just a
It's
reflection.
just art. Yeah, you're really putting on the hat of an artist because like art, yeah, it's an expression. It's meant to be, like open to interpretation, so to speak,
Yeah.
and depending on like what mood you're in, depending on what person you're like, you look at it differently, right?
Yeah.
And so but in this sense, this was more of a reflection from what I'm hearing of you reflecting on yourself,
Yeah.
right? So ultimately, like it's not really for anyone else but you, right?
No, yeah, that's what I mean. I write for myself. Like there's a lot of people who say they
Mhm.
write for an audience and like I think writing for myself does connect with my audience. I think it's a little bit more empty when you're just writing for an audience. I think the more you write to understand yourself, the more you'll actually connect with other people. So yeah, I mean, this movie was definitely for me. And then in turn, I hoped that it would inspire other people maybe to look deeper inside themselves and connect with themselves and all that good stuff. And hopefully some people related to my feelings.
Yeah, it definitely inspired me. Right off the bat, I remember in the beginning when you had the tarot cards that like kind of like introduce the the
Mhm.
different characters. One of them, it like flipped around and said like the shadow is perfectionism,
Yeah.
and that like it just struck me right away. I was like, wait a minute, I never thought of perfectionism as like a shadow. You know,
Yeah.
interesting. But as I'm starting to like understand, like yeah, like when you're too perfect, it's kind of like you're trying to control things, right? Too much, right?
Yes,
Right?
that's yeah, like I never even thought I was a perfectionist. And the more I've dived into myself, I realize that in a way I am, to the point of like where I'll procrastinate something if I don't think it's like right or perfect.
Hmm.
Not in like an intelligent way. It's just in a way where like I'm a perfectionist where I'm scared of judgments of others, and that causes me to really overthink a lot of things. So yeah, that's kind of the way I see my own perfectionism, at least. I know it's different for everyone.
I totally resonate with that. So, would you say like so then this movie, was there a certain process for yourself that like maybe you came out of it like different, like you're not the same person anymore? Did you change throughout? Did you feel some sort of transformation or healing, would you
Yes,
say?
I literally think I actually learned, and I'm definitely still working on this, but like I learned to love myself through making this because it's not a
Mm-hmm.
perfect movie. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned, to embrace my imperfections, to be proud of something that I know is not perfect, and market it and put it out there, knowing it's not the best film I'll ever make, but that
Oh
it's
my
still
gosh. Yeah.
special. And I
Yep.
love it in some way. And I think as artists, we just need to keep creating. Like it's very obvious that our first works, first podcasts, first movies is going to be the best work we do know. But everything we do can inspire someone. And if we don't put it out there, we'll never know. And that's the greatest disservice you can do. So I think we just have to get over what people think and just keep putting things out there, and not even for success or fame or love or anything, just because we're put on this earth to create and be ourselves. So I think that's the best. And I say that in the movie, the greatest gift we can give to the earth is being ourselves. And like, I don't even think I understand that fully, but like, I just know that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah.
Amazing. Totally, totally, 100%. Yeah, I think like just to express, I feel like that's kind of like the biggest joy that we have in life, right? Like that's what we're
Mhm.
here to do, is to just express ourselves, like however it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, wow. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And the
That's
joy is ripped away. Like when you put the power in other people's hands to be able to judge you, that's when our joy is ripped away. So if we can express ourselves without seeking validation, that's the true joy. And that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess to me, maybe it says something about me, but I just feel like you're so courageous to just like step into the light in such a powerful way, it's so intentional, and it's like something you made, which
Mhm.
is such a huge work. I mean, I could only imagine everything that went
It
into
was.
making this movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, like, how do you, so so basically, okay, I'm sorry. You said before that you're actually, this is kind of like a preemptive attempt at making another bigger movie that's to follow. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. That movie I plan to film this summer. It's a science fiction film. It's more of a character piece. It's a way bigger budget. We're working right now on the raising capital, and I'm raising the money myself, and I'm stepping courageously, I would say, into my biggest fears, which are success, which are not fear of people not supporting me, fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, fear of my own destiny, like all these like huge life fears I'm coming up against. And doing it anyway and literally risking everything to raise this money. Like I literally have 2 months that I don't have to get a job and I can raise this money. And so this is like my shot. And it's either I raise the money or I like have to kind of go back to normal life, but also still try to raise it. Anyway, I
Oh
have
my
the gift.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I have the
Yeah.
gift of a few months to really make this work, and I'm gonna do it. But like, there's been so many times where I've wanted to give up because of it's all in my head, like just this fear. So anyway, I'm pushing past it, and that's what I'm working on.
You're creating your reality. It's fucking amazing. It's awesome. I
Thank
guess
you.
like yeah, I could only imagine how much, pressure, like again, like I feel as though you're so, I said you're courageous, but like so what keeps you going in those times when you want to give up and things like that, and maybe, you want to stop doing it, or like you feel like you
Mhm.
might not make it, like what is it that pushes you forward? Like what is it within your like whole conception of reality, like you know
Yeah, no, because I feel that a lot. And every time I do, it's almost like there's this vision or there's this, I don't, it might, and maybe it's my future self. I don't know. That's like,
Hmm.
keep going, keep going. Like I get this whisper, and it feels like sometimes my higher self, my future self, some other kind of spirit, I don't know. And and I just see the vision, like, and I know it sounds crazy, but I see myself in like a stadium with all these people talking about metaphysics. I see my movies on the big screen, and they're like big movies with, named talent in them. Like I see it all, and I know I can have it. And the only thing standing in between that is my fear. But
Hmm.
that's what keeps me going, is literally just the vision, nothing else, because I have nothing else in my reality to prove it's going to happen. It's all in my imagination. So I'm just really trying to like hang on to that for dear life.
So okay, so let me ask you something. That
Mhm.
vision that you have,
Mhm.
is it something that you feel like you created on your own, or is it something that's kind of like being like broadcast into from like a higher place that may not
Yeah,
be you? Is it you, or is it something else that's driving you?
I
Does that
think
make
both. I think
sense?
it's yeah, I think it's a mix, and that's a really you do think very metaphysical, which is cool because we can have a good conversation. Yeah, it's like a multidimensional thing. So like, it's kind of like chicken or the egg. It's like, yes, I'm
Mm.
sure a little bit of it's created, but I will say it feels like I'm remembering my future. So it feels like it's being sent to me. And at the same time, I'm like going in and creating exactly what I want. So it feels like I'm
Mhm.
co-creating it with my future self. Kind of
That
weird.
That's cool. I definitely have that too. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
realized at one point, like, well, if we're alive, like everything already happened, right? That's what's supposed to happen. So it's like
Yes.
technically, like things are already going the way they're going. That means they're gonna come out in this like eventual, however they're gonna happen. Like it's already kind of happened in a way, right?
Mhm.
And we have these moments sometimes. Like I've definitely had flashes of like seeing into the future, or like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be in a place, or it's like a deja vu, right? Where it's like
Yes.
you feel like, oh, like I've seen this moment before. Like
Mhm.
I remember being here, like in the
I've done that
past, or
with
like I had a
dreams.
dream about it or something, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so it's just like, I guess my question to you is, maybe like you're seeing your future, or maybe you're seeing like a projection of what you're going to become or something, right? I know for myself, I've definitely been in places where like I'll self sabotage, like I'll prevent it from happening. Like I'll go a different route purposely. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to go. Oh, I'm not gonna go that way. I'm gonna go this way. Like
Get
just
distracted.
cause, right? And it's messed me up a lot in the past. I don't
Mhm.
want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
But
same. From fear.
like how so it seems like you've been in a similar situation maybe, like, and you've
Yes.
felt that self-sabotage kind of thing. So like that's something for me I'm still kind of afraid of. I'm gonna like mess it up, you know what I mean? Like I'm
Okay.
gonna do something and it's gonna like mess it up.
Yeah.
So what's your solution to that? Like how do you overcome that feeling of like self-sabotage? Does that make
Yeah. I
sense?
mean, well, so, and this is the same thing that's pushed me now, excuse me, it pushed me when I was younger, like when I had a really bad drug addiction, and
Mm,
I, at some points, almost died, all was very depressed, all these crazy things. There was that same little voice that I have to believe is like myself in a way, and also the universe, and all these things wrapped into one multidimensional circle.
mhm, mhm,
Um, and I think the part of me that sabotage, because like I almost was actually very successful in acting back when I was like 20. And then I almost went to film school. So like I could have done this 14 years ago. And instead my drug addiction got really bad and I went to rehab. So like
wow.
I think it all has to do with self-worth. And I think a huge reason why I don't do it now is because I've done the work on like my childhood and my trauma to the point now where I realize I deserve my future. I'm worthy of my future, even if I'm not healed fully. Like, I think it has to do with self-love and self-worth and knowing that you deserve it no matter what bad thoughts you think or like mistakes you've made, like you deserve it. So like, I think that's the biggest shift from when I did self-sabotage to where like, and like I do little self-sabotages, like, you know, I'll watch Rick and Morty for 3 hours or like reality TV, or I'll lay in bed for
Right,
3 days
right.
straight in a depression that's
Yeah,
self-created.
yeah. It's good
Um,
sometimes. It's healing also, right? Sometimes
yeah,
you got to
but
unplug like a little bit. Yeah.
you do, but yeah, there are
Mm,
definitely times where I know I'm self-sabotaging, but it's
mm,
all because of fear is my point. So the one
mm.
difference you have to make is to just do it anyway. Like just know
Okay.
it is in your mind. And if you just shut your mind up and push yourself to do it, that's the only thing that will create new neural pathways to show you that it's all in your head. So I don't know about with you, but like when I do decide, which is not always, and I fail, to push through, that's when I grow. Um,
Mm,
yeah, but you know, we all still, you know, I'm not perfect yet. I don't fully love myself. I don't fully believe I'm worthy of everything, but I'm definitely getting there. And I think it's just a journey. And I think whatever's meant for us can't miss us. So it just keeps coming back. So as I said, I almost had it then. It went away. Now it's coming back. So if you have those moments, just know it's going to keep coming back around because it's your destiny. Like you can't avoid it
mm-hmm.
unless
Right.
you
No,
avoid your
totally.
whole life.
You're very inspirational, I gotta say. And I'm not just saying that to like boost your ego, but like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have or maybe are in those dark places right now, and
Mhm.
maybe they don't see the light of the end of the tunnel, like they don't know how to get out of it, and so
Mhm.
I think that, yeah, so what you're saying is, and this is something I kind of like posted this on social media,
Mhm.
a few weeks ago, where it's like this kind of realization that I thought I was saying something like good, beneficial for people, right? I said like the only thing that matters is how you see yourself, right?
Mhm.
Like self-love is very important. Like you have to love yourself. That was like the message I was trying to say, right? And then this dude started commenting. I'm not going to mention any names, but he's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, what about all the narcissists and what about all the people
I can
who
speak on that.
okay, yeah, like he's like, if they hear that, that's gonna make their condition worse. Like, you
Yeah.
can't just
Uh-huh.
be thinking about yourself all the time, right? Like, and I
Okay.
was
Well,
like,
that's
whoa, I
crazy.
was like, I don't like narcissism. Like, I'm just saying self-love. If you love yourself, like, it's gonna spread to others naturally, right? Like,
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I just have to
no, go
say,
ahead.
before I
Yes.
forget. So I was just reading a book on this called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. And the same, like, listen, I've had people say the same thing to me, by the way, and it's they're actually projecting their self-hatred onto you. Like, do not take that personal at all. You're
Uh,
allowed to say whatever the frick you want to say.
mm,
But narcissists actually are the opposite of self-love. They have a deep self-hatred and they act in narcissistic ways out for their self. But deep self-love is actually like putting the airplane mask on before someone else, like saving yourself before someone else. Deep self-love is what makes you love others and connect to others. So
exactly.
it's just, they're completely wrong. Like when you give yourself that selfish time and love, that's actually the best thing you can do. And that will reflect on others and you'll love others. So it absolutely has nothing to do with being narcissistic. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. And when you focus on yourself, yeah, you can help others. Like, yeah, that's just bull crap.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for saying that so much. 'Cause
If
I was trying to
you,
figure it out
yeah,
myself. I'm like, well, does that make me narcissistic? Like, am I narcissistic? You know what I mean? Like, is
no,
it
because you're
bad to
sharing
be?
all this with people. You're not keeping it to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, people are such trolls and haters, but it's just hilarious. Like, you have to remember everything everyone says is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. So that
Of
person thinks they
course.
can't love themselves because they'll be a narcissist and they're completely uneducated.
But it's like we still have to, we are social beings. Like we're hyper social animals, right? And so it's like we're gonna like rub off each other sometimes, and people are gonna say things to us that maybe, it's like I don't believe that, but like maybe there's something in what you're saying. Like maybe I should like I think about things a lot, I'm sure like a
No, me
lot of people
too.
do. And so like these things, they still kind of affect me, and they still make me question like, well,
Am
how can I
I?
be better? Like, like, am I not good enough or something? Right? Like, you know, um,
No,
but
same.
basically,
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say I've had the same
yeah.
people say the same things to me, and I know exactly what you're saying. And this is only why I'm saying this now, because I used to, when everyone would say things, question myself and be like, oh, am I a narcissist? Am I this? Guess what? If you're
Mhm.
questioning it, you're not. Like a narcissist won't say, am I a narcissist? They won't go to therapy.
Exactly.
They won't.
Yep.
So anyway, but I get what you're saying. And I think it's actually healthy to question yourself. It's not bad. It's just once you do know your truth and then don't obsess over that.
No, I was saying, yeah, like, I mean, narcissists, like, they literally don't care about what other people think, and they use them like to like achieve their own purposes or something, right? So it's
Mhm.
like they have this mentality of like, oh, everyone is there as a tool for me to use, to make myself satisfied, whatever. And that's not the way to go. And I definitely, I'm not that. Like after like, reflecting on that, like I do care about other people. I want to be like,
Yeah.
what you call it, of some service, of some purpose, to the world.
Yeah. Same.
But this kind of leads me into kind of like a different thing I wanted to ask you about. So
Mhm.
yeah, again, you seem very strong in just the way like you're approaching like all this, I guess, attention. Like you're actually kind of going after it like purposely, right? You
Mhm.
want I guess I was listening to your podcast yesterday, just getting ready for this interview, or
Mhm.
like a different one,
Mhm.
where you said that you actually wanted to, like, since you were 5 years old, you wanted to be famous,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I think that's so like adorable, and it's so funny because literally yesterday morning I was at a breakfast place with my girlfriend, and one of our
Uh-huh.
friends came up, and so we're talking about how we just got into like art, and how I read this article just a few days ago about how like in the 90s,
Mhm.
the biggest sin was selling out, you
Yes.
know and now it's like almost like you have to put yourself out there and market your art, and it's kind of goes so like antithetical to what good art is. Where, do you know what I mean? And so, I mean, I
Yes.
guess we got to kind of like this kind of controversial topic eventually,
Mhm.
that I was saying that any kind of famous person, they wanted
Mhm.
to be famous. They had that as their intention to
Yes.
begin with, right? And
Yes.
it's not like a bad thing. It's not something that,
Uh,
literally, I was saying this and I heard you say how, you wanted to be famous. Like that's like your intention. Like that was your intention. So I would just like to kind of like see what you
yeah.
have to say about what is fame, and
Yeah.
also, why are people so like against saying that they want to be famous? Why does it seem like such a bad thing to want to
I
be,
know.
Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, and that's why I'm so open about saying it, because it's just hilarious, because like most people in this industry, they know that that's an option and a lot of them want it, and they're like almost scared to say that's what they want, and like I have
Mhm.
no shame in it, because the reason I want to be famous, and that's just like the word I use, but I really just want a platform to help like change the world and help people. And I don't want people to know who I am in a narcissistic way. I think I do have something interesting and special to say. And I think I can help a lot of people with my story. And I think I'm not the only one. I think everyone's special and everyone can do this. And I believe I'm worthy of that. And I want to, share stories with people, whether I'm channeling them or they're my own. Or so yeah, it's more that like now that I'm in a healthier place, like I care less about fame per se, but it's more just like I want the platform to be able to share these ideas I have, whatever that means. But I think people are scared of it and admitting it just because of, there's healthy fame and there's unhealthy fame. Will I do
Yeah.
anything to be famous? Absolutely not, or I'd be famous already. I've had so many
True. Okay.
opportunities where I could have gotten things that would make me famous that I have not done. Like that's a real thing in Hollywood for sure. And I think that the at least fame that I'm seeking is like the kind where like you have a pure heart, and a lot of those people don't become famous because they don't sell out, and I will never sell out. So if that means I'm not famous, then great. But I just want to be well known enough that my platform can affect enough people to make a change for the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like good art kind of speaks for itself, and it's kind of like if it's truly good, it's inevitable. Like you're gonna be famous. Like there's no, it's not even up to you. Like you just
Yeah.
keep creating what you're creating.
But it's
Um,
okay to want fame. It's okay to want to be able to fly first class and like enjoy the finer things in life. Like that shouldn't be the only thing you value. But I think it's completely okay to think you're worth experiencing that part of life. And I also would love
hmm,
to have a lot of money to help people. Like I want to give money away and
hmm,
help.
hmm.
Like my biggest dream is to like see someone and change their life with like thousands of dollars. Like that would make me feel fantastic. And yes, sorry, back to the fame thing. I think people are
Yeah.
scared to say they want fame because they're almost just embarrassed to admit that they want this attention and love and validation. And I think I was seeking that for such a long time outside of myself, which is how it started with me wanting fame. That's
Hmm.
not the reason now why. And I'm sure there's still some validation I want, but now it's more of a helping others instead of wanting something from others, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and then I just like said like later in the day, I was like, you know what? I'm already famous. Like when I walk in a room, people know me already, right? Like,
Yes.
and it's kind of like you just have to kind of step into like being that person already, and I think you're doing a great
Mhm.
job at that.
Thanks.
But at the same time, there are, just like anything else, there are kind of dark sides to it too. You alluded
Oh,
slightly
yes.
to it, where it's like all that attention isn't always good attention. And the big thing, so I'm reading right now The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Do you know
Oh,
Robert Greene? he
yeah,
he
I'm
wrote the 48
familiar.
Laws of Power, right? Yeah, like one of my all-time favorite books. Like
Yeah.
it's immoral, you know what I mean? It's that
Mhm.
it's not trying to like sugarcoat things. Like we do live in a
Mhm.
reality where people are ruthless sometimes, and they'll do things like, I mean, they might. I feel like in the music business, Rick Rubin was talking about it. I'm
Yes.
listening to his podcast a lot, Rick Rubin, and yeah, actually, he had Robert Greene on his podcast. I was like, wow, this is amazing! Like such an amazing
Yeah.
conversation. And he was saying basically how a lot of times success is actually kind of like a double-edged sword, because
Mhm.
people it becomes dangerous because people start wanting things from you, and then there's the whole thing of like your ego. You think you're like better than others, and it
Yeah.
starts to kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like a poisonous thing in a way, right? And so the chapter I just finished in The Laws of Human Nature, which basically it just the laws of human nature, it's powerful because it's kind of like he says that whatever like advances we go through as a society, whatever happens, like the laws of human nature will continue being what they always were,
Mhm.
and one of them, the one that I just read, was about envy. Actually, envy, one of the
Oh,
most poisonous, dark emotions that humans have,
yes.
and it's kind of very natural because, as again, like hyper social creatures, like we're constantly,
Yeah.
maybe unconsciously, like comparing ourselves with others, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
all the time. It's kind of like, to know who we are, we have to kind of reflect on, from
Yes.
others, like who we are, kind of thing. And a lot of times when people among us, for example, or people who are your friends, they achieve some sort of success in life, like
Mhm.
you will subconsciously like be envious, right? You'll try to bring them down or something. You'll try to like take from them, like
Yes, a lot of people can be like that. And I've experienced that in the past, but as I've worked on myself, if I ever do experience that, I look at myself and what I'm lacking in myself and why I'm like that. And I'm usually happy for people nowadays, but if that ever does happen where they are having success I really want, I'm actually like, no, I just want that. Like I can be so happy for them and realize that that means I can have it too, if that makes sense.
exactly, yes, totally, yeah, 100%. That's what he says at the end. He's like, the way to combat it is to just kind of like relax into the appreciation of what like humanity itself is capable of, like
Hmm.
being happy for others' success, and
Yes.
then that way, like it creates like a deeper bond actually with that person, like be
Yes.
closer to it, and but I guess my question for you is
Yeah.
like, with all, I mean, I don't know how much exactly, but with all the success that you're experiencing or are going
Mhm.
to experience,
Mhm.
Are you looking out for ways to kind of defend yourself from envy from others that might want to like take from you or bring you down because of like how brightly you're shining,
Thank you. I mean, I've had that my whole life where I feel like I've had people hate me for no reason. And I don't know if it reflected my inner hate or if it was sometimes jealousy, because I was like, people do not like when you're authentic because it reminds them they're not being authentic. And I'm a very authentic person most of the time. So I think that makes people have these violent negative reactions to me. So I've learned from it. I think my whole life has prepared me to protect myself from those kind of people who can use me. And I can kind of sniff people out and I cut people off sometimes too fast, which I'm not proud of. But I
Mhm.
mean, especially this last year, I changed my entire friend group. I cut so many people out, even
Wow.
very successful people who are just very dark people. So yeah, and now my life is so full of love and light. And if they're little stragglers, I kind of sniff them out and I just keep them at bay.
How do you combat that? Or like,
Yes.
what is your kind of defense with envy?
Yes. So I have defenses with envy. So I'm very intuitive. I can feel when people are envious. It's just a vibe and an energy you feel when you like. So I've learned not to tell certain people like what I'm up to or doing because they'll put like, even though they act excited for you, they'll put negative energy and not want you to succeed. And I get it. Like I'm human. I've experienced the same thing when I was younger. Like when someone told me these big dreams they were going for, I almost hope they didn't get it, like, which is horrible. But like I don't hold anything against them. I know it's their fear that I do separate myself from those people, just like I'm sure people did to me in the past when I wasn't in the right place. So I
Mm,
just use discernment. I use my intuition and gut. I try to send compassion and love to those people. Not always the best at doing that, but I try because I know it's like their fear, not them. Yeah, just being careful, not getting too close to people too fast. That one I'm working on because I get very excited when people like me. I'm like, oh, friends.
yes,
And I'm like,
exactly.
I never thought in the past that they could be using me or have like bad intentions. Now I'm very aware of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like energetically protecting myself. I feel like that's enough ways. Yeah, just genuinely also making sure I'm genuinely connecting with people authentically and not trying to get things out of them because that will come back to me because karma is a biatch. So making sure that like I'm connecting with people for the right reasons always as well.
Amazing. Yeah, totally. Just like golden words from you because I've definitely been like, I'm like, oh, this person's my friend, and then they're like talking shit behind my back, right? And like I hear about it, I'm like, wait a minute, and it's like, but we're already so close that it's hard to just like cut them off.
You gotta.
And but sometimes, yes, you have to for sure. I've had to learn that the hard way, like many times over. And actually, I think for me, maybe that's kind of like my shadow side being brought up of just like that's
Mm.
something I feel like prevents me from kind of getting close to people maybe sometimes because I feel like I've been in that position a lot. But yeah, like you said, like first of all, it's like seeing that like a lot of times when someone comes like with too much praise right away, like then
Mhm.
usually they might flip later, you know what I mean, that usually they're just kind of like buttering you up, so to speak.
Yeah,
um
don't trust someone just because they're nice. Like I had a friend who was
mm,
seemed like this such an amazing friend, and then the second this like other weird man betrayed me in like a financial horrible way in the industry, he stayed friends with him because he wants to be freaking famous. And like, listen, I get it. He's a
mm,
scared boy and like wants to be famous and wants to stay friends with this guy and is using the shit out of him. And like that saves me from him using the shit out of me. So thank God. And like
yeah.
send so much love to him because I know he's so lonely. And like, listen, I've been there and I've also been in the place. I am not ashamed to say it. When I first came to LA, I definitely had a different mindset where I was like, oh, this person can maybe help me get successful. Now I don't give a shit about that. But anyway,
mm,
I have compassion for him. But at the same time, I'm so thankful that he was pushed out of my life. I think things in the universe will always show you who your true friends are. I think with the one thing I've learned too is like, and I'm sure you can relate, is I'm scared to cut people off because I'm scared to hurt them and make them feel uncomfortable. But the hilarious thing is they're making me feel uncomfortable and they're hurting me. So it's like, why are we scared when they're affecting us negatively? So you just have to get that people pleasing shit aside and cut them off.
right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, people like a lot of times you'll just be like naturally, like gifted at something, and people just like resent you for it or something. And but usually those people aren't up to like good, big things anyway. Like they're usually like kind of riding on the skin of someone else, or like, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, it's best to just push away people who are like that. But a lot of times you can't notice it until too late, either. So it's kind of like it's weird. And then it's like all the good movies, they always have like murder and betrayal in them, right? It's like one of those like
Yeah.
emotions that's so dramatic, and like we need it for theater or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's like kind of inescapable in a way, right? I mean, it's gonna happen sometimes.
I think
Um,
those people are our biggest teachers though, because like I've not grown from having good friends. I love my good friends, but like I've grown from the bad friends and really actually looking inside myself and what why I attracted those people. Not like it's my fault, but what in me resonated with them and like how to get that out of myself. So I think in a way it's amazing when that drama happens because it's a huge educational thing for you. You can make it into a lesson if that makes sense.
Yeah, but also like me, for example, I can't help, like, even at the end of the day, they whatever. It's like I have to forgive them, and it's like I still feel some empathy for them. Like I do understand where they're coming from. So
Mhm.
it's like it feels like am I the type of person that would just like completely cut someone off? And I don't know. Maybe it's like a weakness of mine or something.
Yeah, you
But sometimes
should.
you gotta, yeah, right. Sometimes you
Don't
gotta,
take
yeah.
advantage. I used to be the same way and never cut people off. I had so much empathy, and then I realized it was hurting me. And then when I
Mhm.
did start cutting people off, it felt so good. And that was really that. I've never looked back.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we could just cut off that topic and move on.
Great.
Sometimes you got to cut things off. It's true. What is it? I think there's like some quote about that where it's like, when you have like cancer somewhere, it starts to spread. Like you have to cut that part off. Like that's the only
Amputate.
way to amputate. Yeah, that's the only way to prevent it from spreading, further and like
Hmm.
overtaking you fully. So
Hmm.
for sure, sometimes cutting off is the thing to do. Yeah. Basically, I saw on, I think, on your website or your film's website, basically there was a definition of what a metaphysical film is. So you had that intention for Reflect, right, to make a metaphysical film, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And basically, it said a metaphysical film is a film that uses unique elements of the filmmaking to direct attention to the question of reality,
Hmm.
to the question of reality. And I just thought like that's perfect for my podcast because that's what I'm trying to
Hmm.
do. I'm trying to like explore what reality is. What is all this weird thing that we're in, right? That we're just kind of dropped
Hmm.
into, and it's like always changing. And so, yeah, I wanted to ask you personally, since you seem to be quite an authority on the topic, or you're becoming, like, what is reality, and like, what is it to be human? What is reality?
Yeah, okay. I think they're like maybe two different things, maybe not. Okay, I
Mhm.
guess. All right, let me just speak without thinking because then I'll mess up. I think reality is some kind of like fluid, like influx, intelligent, spiritual simulation, not in like the mechanical way, but I think it's like the way I'm a very visual person. I just envision it as these like circles that are like neutral and can be filled in with all our perspectives. And then I think when it comes to being human, it's that interference or what's rubbing up against all those circles and like humans. And I think everything's about relationship and interaction. And I think that the universe is learning about itself through us, and we're learning about ourselves through the universe. And everything's just this huge feedback loop between humans and reality, like between consciousness and reality. Um, and I think we can evolve, and I think that reality can evolve. I don't think, see, like the thing I wouldn't agree with Robert Greene on is the laws of human nature. I think that can evolve. And I think we can learn a lot from our future selves, but I actually think our future selves, because our future selves technically that when there's no time are just in a different space. I think the present self is the most powerful, and that the future self can learn from the present self. I think the present self is the real creator. Anyway, I don't know if anything I just said makes sense, but that's how I see things.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty interesting. I love that. I love your perspective. Like I've never heard it put that way. I think it's remarkable.
Oh, thank you.
But but it does kind of resonate also with certain things. I mean, like it almost made me think of like where like when you said the universe learning about itself, right? It made me think of like robots like gathering data, to become like more efficient or something. Like could that be an explanation? Could we all just be robots here? Could we all just be this mechanistic like, thing that maybe we're not really alive. Maybe this is an illusion, maybe this is a projection, right? Like maybe it's a
I
video
mean,
game that we're in.
hey, like, yeah, I mean, I tend to go away from the mechanistic stuff, but I think anything's
Mhm.
possible. I'm not the authority, obviously, in anything, but I think that's why I'd like to bring in the like intelligent spiritual part, because I think we are, yes, you could say robot, but I think we're like a bioplasmatic robot. So I think we have these emotions and spirituality and magic to us that I can totally deny the mechanistic thing. I think there's life and consciousness and love and all these things we don't understand. And I do think there's a bigger purpose. I don't think I think everything has a purpose, and there's so much complexity, and there is a bigger reason to everything. And I rather at least choose to live in a world where I can either believe that there's no reason and we are just learning for no reason, or I can believe that we're learning to evolve something. And I think I rather just choose to believe that.
Okay, let's go. Amazing. You know about transhumanism? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's basically the idea that like we're slowly evolving with machines. Like that's the next stage of human evolution, that we're like
I
slowly
would
going to
love to
start
speak on this.
uploading like our consciousness onto like, computers, and we're
Mhm.
going to achieve like, eternal life because like through that.
Yeah. Mhm.
But then the other side of it is like it's not actually like a good thing to go towards, right? I mean, for myself, like I know that's not, we should not be going that way, right? Like what would you say? Well, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. So I do think there are some people who like talk about the transhumanist agenda, and I think they go a little bit cray cray with it too, though. Like that, um, when people are talking about us also like ascending and becoming these like light beings, the thing is like they're forgetting that's where we came from. So
Yes.
we're actually evolving in a different direction, and it's more about Mother Nature and Earth. And I think people are realizing and grounding back into our humanity and ourselves. So that's like one thing I'll just speak on that's separate. But as far as the transhumanism stuff, like I think AI and all these things that are being added to us, I will
Mhm.
never put anything inside of me, by the way. But if there are just things we can take off and on, I think that can be an amazing tool used for good or bad. I think it can be addicting, just like drugs. I think you can use it in a good way to help people. When it comes to putting stuff in your body, that I will absolutely never do, because I think there are ways to like take over humanity that way. Um, but I think, yeah, as a thing you can put on and off, it's an amazing tool. And I think that putting things in our body, I think that we will, that is actually what scares me a little bit, is the technology mix, because AI in its own will never have intuition. It's built, I tell people this all the time, it's built off chaos theory, not complexity theory. And chaos theory does
Mm.
not have intuition and randomness. It's recycled stuff. Complexity theory actually is what we're made out of as humans, and brings up intuition out of the friggin' ether. The AI just is not capable of that unless you mix it with a human somehow, right? As a tool, which can be an awesome thing. But mixing that inside of someone and having that intuition and that like all powerful knowing, if there is if there's evilness in it, obviously that will become evil. So yeah, that is like so scary. But I think we also have to remember, I don't know, there's been evil forever. Like we just are living with good and evil. So yeah, it's interesting to see how we'll evolve, and if we'll like destruct the planet. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like the mix, but I also am very aware we have to evolve. But I don't think we're supposed to evolve with technology inside of us. I think we're at a crossroads right now where we can either do that or evolve the way we're supposed to by learning about body intelligence and magic and traveling with our consciousness and astral projection and all these magic things that people are suppressing that will give us true power that I think is scary for people who run the world. I think that's just obvious, not in a conspiratorial way, but they're scared of what we can do if we have that much power, and that they'll lose out on capitalism, consumerism, and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm excited, and I hope that my work can push people towards realizing that the magic is inside of us and we can envision all these things that AI is giving us without AI. That can be a cool tool, but we have so much magic inside of us. I completely believe in telekinesis. I believe we can train ourselves to be more psychic and intuitive. Like, I just think there's so many cool things we can evolve without the technology inside of us. Does that make sense?
Yes, amazing. Everything you said, that's so great. I also wanna, push forward like that kind of like like you said,
Metaphysical.
we kind of fell from this more spiritual state. Like, we're, if anything else, we got to get back to it. And for sure, like computers and AI and robots and all of that, they're a tool, so they could be used for good or for bad. And I also don't think we should rely too heavily on them, but there are definitely pluses. I think for me, the way it seems like these robots and AI, they're going to basically take over all like the menial jobs in the future. At least it has the potential to already now. Like, technically, we don't have to be working these like
Mhm.
I saw there's like, there was a house that was painted totally with robots, and then
Yeah.
there was another story of how the Amazon warehouses, they're starting to use robots for like the box lifting and all that,
Yes.
and they cost something like $3 an hour to operate,
Yes.
so so the question is like, when
Yeah.
we
I
don't
want
have to we don't have to work anymore, right?
to.
We don't have to actually go to McDonald's or whatever, and then like trade our hours, like this, like
Mhm.
these precious moments of our lives,
Mhm.
for like, whatever, $15 an hour. Like, California's thinking of making minimum wage $50 an hour right now. I just saw yesterday, which is
Wow.
interesting. But yeah, so it's like what are we gonna do when all the work is taken care of, for all the all the hard
Yeah.
labor, so to speak, right? I mean, is that a question, that's something you think about sometimes, or?
Yes, I was just gonna say I was so excited to speak on this. I think it's great, and I'll say why. And I just don't think we have the infrastructure right now. So I think we have to catch up with it, and the government is like really needs to get their shit together with like they need more futurists in the government, because I think the AI taking over for certain jobs, like, listen, none of us want to do those jobs. None of us. Like,
Exactly. Yep.
we want to live our true passions and create. And I don't think anyone is meant to do that. We all have destinies, we all have unique specialties and passions, and we want to create art. I think that will free up so much time to help us build our future and these like really cool things. And like, who knows what will happen? The problem is that we're still stuck in this like archaic mode of capitalism and consumerism, and like
Mhm.
people are poor and there's like a mismanagement of money. Like, there has to be a way to build like a circular economy where no one is poor and like we all have basic needs met without needing this money. And I know there's a way, and it would be a huge overhaul, but like they need to start thinking about how to set that up and figure their shit out. Because once they do that, I think, the world will be such a better place. And we're so capable of it. It's the greed of the 1%, and not even the 1%. They're like, people work hard for all of that stuff and they made it happen themselves. But it's like, okay, well, the people in charge, though, like the people at the bottom can't figure this out themselves, clearly, for whatever reason. So like they need to step it up and create this circular economy so we all have a stable income so we can do these things. I think that's the biggest problem.
Nuts, yeah, for sure. It's like the whole like public education system, it was made literally to create workers. Like, it wasn't made to like help you be creative or to express yourself. It was made to create workers, and that's something that, I mean, it bothers me. Like, it's clearly something that we need to kind of get over and go forward with.
Yes.
And I guess it's just like, I feel as though it benefits those quote unquote in power, those with like a lot of money to have, the rest, the masses, the dumb masses, right? Which I don't believe in that at all. I think everyone has worth.
Yeah.
But there is this idea of like most people are stupid, like I hear this a lot, and I'm just like, I want to like fight it. I want to tell people everyone is worthy and everyone can create, and everyone has something good in them and everyone is a part of God, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and everyone exists for a reason and a purpose, whether or not you know what it is. But there is this kind of like like this like you said, like archaic system, of just like, well, we have to make money. Well, we have to go and work, and we have,
Yeah.
and if you don't have a job, like you have to go work at McDonald's or like, like a gas station or something. And in fact, if robots take those jobs over, what are those people going to do, right? Like it comes
Yeah.
back to money for me, and it seems to me, and this may be controversial to say, and maybe people, might think of me differently, but like
Yeah.
honestly, like I think money is the issue. It's money itself. It's like made to kind of keep people, in a state of like servitude. And it's like the people who really have money, they don't care about money, and they print it so easily, and then they just inject it into whatever they want, or they take it out. So like, how do we, like this whole class thing, like, the Marxist, like classes, like there's the haves and the have-nots, right? Like, how do we get over that? Are we going to get over it, or is this just how things are supposed to be? Like, it's supposed to be good and bad, right? There's supposed to be kind of two sides to the equation, right? And
Yeah.
so those who have are going to take from those who have not, and those who have not are never going to have what the haves have. Does that make sense? Like, is there a way out of that? Like, what's the like the forward thinking socio political like system we should enter? Like, do you have an answer for that?
Well, yeah, the problem is I can't control it, but I think the answer is, as the consciousness of the world raises, are these people in these powerful positions going to keep doing what they're doing, or are they going to grow somewhat of a conscience and realize what's happening and realize we need that circular economy? There's a book called The Gift, which I encourage you and everyone listening to read, which, back in ancient times or in certain communities, there's this circular kind of gift giving, like,
Yep.
money flows. I don't know if money is necessarily the issue, or if it's the people running the money and the way the money's set up. Because I think money's a tool like AI. It can, but I think that the structures and the system set up are what the problem is. And I think the way out of it is for these people who are in control to set up a circular economy. I think there's books on like circular living or systems living, or ways about an optimistic futurism. Like, I think it's completely possible to do that. I just think it's a huge overhaul. But yeah, I think the only way it's possible is if the people in power wake up and grow and evolve their consciousness and realize it's not all about money. It's about love, and using money as a tool for that, to create those systems. And like, to create those systems would be like everyone gets a certain amount of money a year, everyone. And then yes, the people in the high power won't have as much money. That's just like, get the fuck over
So you
it.
believe in universal basic income? I don't know, maybe I'm getting too political here, but
No,
you think that's going to be a good thing, or?
I do think that if everyone had a certain amount of income, that will solve, like, why not? Yeah, that's what will free people up to be able to do what they want to do. I think we should definitely have that. Yeah.
Totally, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Or take away money completely.
Right. What you said about the gift economy, I think it's called, at least in Charles Eisenstein's book, The Sacred Economy, he talks about I've talked about this on previous podcasts, how if everyone just gave their gift of what it is like they want to do, and if like you just contribute it to society, we would all have everything we need. That's kind of like money is kind of the middleman for like us exchanging what it is we're good at, and like providing to society that way. And then finally, I guess I just want to say, like, there's this kind of, I feel as though there's this air of like being trapped, or being like stuck in a box for a lot of people. And I just want to say that like there's always a way out, you know. There's always like a way to get into like a bigger place from wherever you feel you're at. Like there's always a way out, you know. And I think you know, I want to tie that back into your movie because it's something I really liked about it is that it felt expansive. Like it didn't feel like you were stuck in this like one, you know, narrative or whatever, and that's it. And like you couldn't get out of it. There was this other thing happening outside, like the boundary of like, you know, the what is it, the game of life, where
Yeah.
there was like kind of like a TV show going on the whole time that they didn't know about. For them, it was so serious, and they were like
Yeah.
surviving, right? But like outside of that, it was actually more
Like funny.
more fun. Yeah, it was like more of like a fun thing, right? That they didn't even know that they were on the TV show, right? Which I've seen that concept before. You did it really well. And so yeah, I guess I wanted to kind of maybe this could be the last topic for this
Yeah.
podcast, but well, one of them, because I want to ask you something else afterwards.
Yeah.
But your handle on Instagram is Dana.thealien. So I wanted to ask you about aliens. Are you really an alien, Dana?
It's so funny. Like, I think we're all aliens. I think, you know, we all came here from the stars and we've had previous lifetimes in like Orion or Sirius or Pleiades or wherever. I think the way I'm an alien is like I felt like an alien my whole life as far as like feeling disconnected. And it's so funny because now the more I'm connecting with myself, the more like human I feel. So it's like I can't change my name. I was saying the other day to like Dana the human now that I'm like connecting with myself. But you know, I feel like an alien in the ways where like usually when I'm like traversing across life every day, I just don't feel like I can fit in with the common crowd. But I also know I'm like part of humanity. So it's just like I've always felt a little bit alien to my surroundings. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think differently and I can hopefully bring things to like new things to this world that way. But yeah, I think I'm an alien and I think I'm human.
You're unique. Yeah, you're unique, and you know, you bring something otherworldly to the picture, you know, or to the
Yeah.
world. And it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's definitely good, and I think like more people need to look at themselves that way, you know, that there's something special, like there's something unique.
Yes, and
Um,
everyone. Mm-hmm.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And so, but like, have you had like UFO experiences or anything like that?
I have. I have.
You
So there,
have?
yeah, there's this one thing, and this is super, and I'm like not this person that thinks I have like a chip in me. Like I'm not saying those people are crazy. I'm just not, but I
Okay.
do have this like one. Do you see this dot on my finger?
Yeah.
It's like a dot and it has like weird, like metal looking things in it. And like I swear when I was younger, I would get sleep paralysis a lot and like think I was abducted. And I don't have memories of being abducted, by the way. I just think it like it's just a weird thing on my finger. Who
It's
the
always been
hell?
there.
Yeah, it could be a scar, like who knows, but I don't know where the heck it came from. But anyway, I just think that's a weird thing. And I did see a UFO in New York once when I was in Sloatsburg. It was like glowing different colors. I also went up to the Lionsgate portal or something in Washington where
Wow.
I 100 million% saw UFOs. I have them on camera just flying around. I think UFOs are plasma beings, I call them. I think that they're this energy, these circular things I'm talking about that are either higher intelligences, other dimensional beings, our future selves. I think there are many different things that can come and fly into these like circular things. Does that make sense? Whether it's
Like ball lightning? Is that what you're
like ball
saying?
lightning or lights, or I think whatever the UFOs we're seeing, sometimes they're projections. And then sometimes I think they're actually from other planets. I just think there are many things that we can't really conceive, but I 100% believe in that stuff.
Wow. Well, again, like that to me, that's like endless inspiration because there's stuff we don't know. You know what I mean? There's stuff
Yeah.
out there that like we just haven't experienced yet, and like
Yeah.
it's still there waiting for us to like, you know,
Mhm.
be ready to like actually take that on, right? That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I've been learning, I've been trying to like expand my like understanding of like what, you know,
Mhm.
there's so much out there that we don't know that we don't know, you know.
No.
That's cool. Or like, you know, have you heard of like the Foo Fighters? You know, not the band, but like they got their name from in World War II when the planes would fly, they'd see these like, these like balls of light, and like there was a
What?
lot
I
of
don't
them,
think before.
and they couldn't explain it. They didn't know what it was, so they called them Foo Fighters. They thought it was like,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
They thought it
really
was like, like some weird technology they don't know. And for sure, like I'm sure there was
yeah.
like a lot of aliens kind of, or I don't know, they call them the Greys or whatever, like played some part in like historical events, and also like gave us some technologies and stuff like that. We worship them as gods or whatever, right? Like, anyways, I mean,
All of it's possible. I think all of it, and I think it's really fun to think about. And there's so much heavy stuff that goes on, and I think it's fun to kind of think about this stuff as well. It's all part
yeah.
of life.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, like you look around, like clearly we're the aliens. Like I would, I always think about like what's an alien, but it's like we don't fit into like the biological landscape here, as humans.
No.
Like there's something about us that's different. It's just like they don't even know in science what it is.
We have choice. We have conscious choice, which I don't think a lot of animals have. Like they're more like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, also, what is it? I think it was called the language gene, it's kind of like most animals don't know how to talk, and then one
Mhm.
day we just started talking, and like just having so much I guess capability in terms of just like thinking and like
Mhm.
speaking. And they say that most of our brain power goes towards like creating speech, like we're doing right now.
Yeah, it's
um
interesting.
Anyways, okay. So yeah, that's a good to talk about. And then finally, yeah, so I mean this whole podcast is about exploring different perspectives, hopefully unique perspectives through the lens of art. That's what I'm doing now, through art itself. So I wanted to ask you, what is art and what is the reason for it?
Interesting. Okay. I think art is creation and a unique expression. What is the reason for it, right? You said?
Yeah.
I think art can be anything, and I think true art is random, not planned, and it's intuitive. And well, I guess or it can be planned, but okay, to me, true art is not planned. And I also think, God, it's so multidimensional because on another level, like true art is collaboration, and on another level,
Mhm.
like true art is planned because architecture that is planned is beautiful. So I think, okay, I think art is a relationship and collaboration and interaction. I'm learning as I'm speaking because I've never thought about this.
Mhm.
And the reason for it, I think, is many different reasons, but like evolution is a good reason. I think it helps us evolve or reflect. I guess evolving would be at the core of it. True art spawns evolution.
Wow. So like, when you say like you're saying it, you don't speak it, or like you're learning from yourself, like where's that coming from, would you say?
My head,
Yeah.
the thoughts I'm having, like I'm not thinking, but I'm thinking, if that makes sense. Like my logical brain's gone. I'm using my right-sided brain to say these things.
Your subconscious basically, right? Like,
Yeah, I guess.
they say like good art comes from your subconscious, and the reason for it. Oh, and then so yeah, so like basically, like I kind of get what you're saying. Like basically, for me, like the peak of art is like improvisation. It's like when you're just coming off like right off the top of your head, like freestyle rap or something.
Yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Like that to me is like the highest like pinnacle of art, when you could just be creating it in the moment. Like you're in
Yes,
the moment and you're just so
yes,
tuned
the
in, right?
flow.
Yeah. And evolving, and yeah, I like that you said that too, because there's definitely, that's a big point that I don't think about often, is it
Mhm.
does help us evolve. Okay, so yeah, so I guess finally, thank you for being here, and I just wanted
Yeah.
to ask, I kind of I end my podcast with like, just
Mhm.
if you could either say something to your younger self,
Mhm.
or just maybe to other artists that are just starting out, or maybe they feel nervous or anxious about the future. I guess in your sense, like directors, like I've always wanted to make a movie, like
Yeah.
what like words of I guess advice or wisdom would you be able to impart onto us?
Just do it, keep going, and you can do anything, really. Those three things.
Okay, great. Nice and simple.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you talked about the theory of complexity, and I was gonna say,
Yes.
like, is there a theory of simplicity?
It's funny you say that. So I like to talk about like poles too, because in the 3D world we are like in duality, obviously. And I think that complexity and simplicity are on the same pole of beauty. And I think that they're both the same thing. I think you can just dig into something or simplify it. And I think there's art in complexity, which we're kind of getting back to because that hasn't been a thing. And then I think there's great art in simplicity. I'm not the best at that kind of art, to be completely honest. But yeah, I think that I don't even remember what your question was now, but I think what was your question about simplicity?
Is there a theory of simplicity?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I wouldn't be the one to know that one though. That's not really my
Okay.
forte. But I think there has, yeah. Okay, let's think. The theory of complexity is randomness. The theory of simplicity then would have to be randomness too. Beauty, random.
Well, maybe it would be like essentiality, like what's essential, right? What can't be taken away,
Yes, yes,
or what
yes.
can't be changed, right? What always was. I'm just kind of like,
No riffing. Yeah.
riffing off you, yeah.
Okay, the theory of complexity would be like kind of how randomness spawns from all these complex things. So if the randomness is going to spawn from it too, from simple things, it would be like the essential, I guess. You're right.
Yeah, awesome, cool. The essential, and also, I mean, I guess like I think it's worth mentioning. Like, I think that's what poetry aims to do, right? Like try to
Yeah.
make something very complex into something simple and like
Yes.
um, what is it called? Like fine, And and it's funny because again, I want to say thank you for getting my poetry book that I
Oh,
came out with last
yes.
year,
It's great.
and you also had a poetry book come out around the same time too, right?
Yes, that was so funny how that
That
happened. Yeah.
was really funny. Just like I was not expecting that at all. But how did like what was your process in writing poetry? Like how do you do that usually, or do you write a lot?
Yes, I write all the time poetry. So that's something I don't try to do. That just comes to me. So like when it comes, it comes. So like yeah, I either get like a flood of poems in like a few days if I'm usually going through something, or I don't have any inspiration. I don't write poetry for months. So poetry
Mm.
for me is very artistic. It's very random. It's inspired by my life. And it's very cosmic. And I don't like to edit my poetry. So like my first book is like actually not edited at all besides the grammar. And some there's definitely grammar mistakes because I'm the worst at that. I have to get an editor. But yeah, I don't know about
Okay.
you, but mine's like, yeah, not really thought out.
Got it. Yeah, that's probably the best way to go about it. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for being on. I
Thank
feel as
you.
though, yeah, you have so much good stuff to say, and like I would love to just like keep talking to you, but
Yes,
we
we'll do
can't.
more episodes.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. And I don't know if there was anything else that maybe is still lingering or you wanted to say, like, or did we really get everything out that we needed to?
No, yeah, just good luck in all your stuff. I'm excited to see what you do. And yeah, that's really it. I'm happy for your
Oh,
poetry book and
thanks.
your podcast. And I hope you have a huge podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to, do the same thing. I'm trying to like think the same way.
Keep
I really
going.
appreciate it. Yep. I appreciate it, Dana. Thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon. Have a great
Mhm.
day. And I'm very much looking forward to your next movie for sure.
Yes, you too. I'll share this podcast.
Hey, you made it to the end. You get a gold star. Seriously, thank you so much. You are supporting what I am doing here just by listening, and I appreciate that a whole lot. Ever since I can remember, and it feels like forever, I have been fascinated with what all this is. Being, life, and the nature of reality in general. It is now my hope to traverse these different facets and expand consciousness together with you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. If you find that you enjoy listening, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and/or comment, as it shows the algorithm what I'm doing here is truly worthwhile and helps me reach more people. And if for any reason you wish to reach out, I am on Instagram at Dimitri Make Love. That's DimitryMakelove. Have an amazing day. Remember, all is one. IO. And until next time.